And here we are for episode 4 of the Duane-o Podcast here on a Monday night. What is actually quite warm, balmy by June winter standards here in Byron Bay. I'm Dwayne Neville, also known as Duaneo. And if you're listening to this through iTunes or, of course, Spotify via the anchor.fm/Duane-o website, and you want to see us, both of us bunkered down on either side of the border, you just follow the link to the YouTube page. Hit subscribe and follow and send your love there, and also follow to the Instagram page as well. The link should also be there. And let's keep and quickest way. It'll be the quickest way to keep in the loop what's happening here on either side of the border between the Byron Bay and Gold Coast. And a little bit of a different change of tune for tonight. Past podcast we were dealing with the metal side of things and also a bit of footy. Bloke has sort of had a hand on both, but he's also plies his trade as a local Gold Coast-based photographer and filmmaker. I'm here with none other than Trevor Osborne. How you doing tonight, brother, on this Monday night?
Good, mate. Pleased to be here. How you going?
Oh, mate, just big weekend that we just had. I'm still recovering from it, actually, so I'm sort of showing my age a little bit.
Poor thing.
I think I had my age in drinks, mate. I'll tell you something. I only just really got over it probably just as I started talking to you, mate. It's a shame you couldn't get down here for it.
Oh, mate, I can get down there.
Of course you can.
Free ticket, but
yeah, mate. Borders open, or at least on one side, anyway.
I know. I feel a bit guilty being able to pull that one off, but so be it.
Oh, mate. Hopefully another day. Hopefully, well, I mean, I'd love to be up there now, but they're talking July 10, so hopefully not a day soon, and we can get up to the Black Ops and have a what is it called? A lay day lager.
Mate, how good is Black Ops? Yeah.
Well, they're getting a free plug at the moment, but hopefully it's not too long to get back up there and then hit up to Suncorp and we'll spend the $9 watered down Forex gold. So.
Oh, it'll never taste so good when that day happens, will it?
Oh, mate, it's weird, man, because I actually, you take shit like this for granted, like going to a game at Suncorp Stadium when the Broncos are playing and then you're passing out on the train ride back to Robina. I never thought I'd ever say that, but I actually sort of miss being able to just pass out and walk and having random people just put shit on you for being a Broncos supporter.
Oh, no. Oh, mate, yeah. There could be worse things to be. Don't worry.
Okay, well, I mean, at least I think you're a bit of a blue blood there, Trev. There's a few of you up in the Gold Coast.
I've been on the fence for long enough, and I know I've come over to the maroon side. So yeah, my blue jersey's been hung up, but I've got a soft spot for the Newey Knights, mate. That's my home team.
And we're playing against each other on Thursday too. So
yeah.
So that's good. Well, I mean, I can't question about what the Broncos are doing at the moment. I mean, I know we had a bit more improvement this past Thursday against Manly, but I dare say it's could possibly be a long night for us once again, knowing that we've got a couple more injuries and whatnot. So I guess we'll just. But then again, it was a fucking weird week for football. When I was, especially if you had a few multis on as well. I mean, the fucking Dragons got up against the Sharks, and then. I can't fucking believe that the Gold Coast Suns beat West Coast.
Yeah, wow.
That's mate. It's like, just to put in comparison about how one-sided it was. And I'm not sure if this was to a T, but I just, out of curiosity, I did like a little mock multi. Of all the teams that were underdogs in the NRL and the AFL for the weekend. So I think it was 4 of the NRL, 4 in the AFL, and just the underdogs. And do you know what the odds were if you were just to put $1 on that? You know how much you would win?
No, I wish I did. But I'm sure you're going to tell me.
I forget, but it's in the 5 figures. It's in the 5 figures. I'm not even joking. So I think it was in the teens or low 20,000. So 20,000 to 1. And I'm not sure if that's if it was every single team that came off. I mean, I think GWS was one of those, but because they lost yesterday too, when North Melbourne were the underdogs in that game. So But that was in there, and the West Coast game, and I think I don't think it would have paid off, but I think it would have been just one or two, no more than one or two off.
Mm.
Yeah,
I love those long shot multis.
but the short term ones don't even pay off as it is, you know. And so
I know.
it's one of the fucking bugs that bit me during this COVID virus thing. So never really gambled in my life until that happened. But speaking of the COVID virus, man. So as as I was talking in previous podcasts about heavy metal musicians and people that are involved in the game as such, us being commentators and stuff, and how basically the top of the discussion has always been how this COVID virus has affected you. Being a photographer and video maker, how has that all affected you in that industry?
Yeah, it's been fairly shit. Business has dropped considerably. It pretty much went to zero almost overnight. First was, all my football contracts all gone, suspended till further notice, as you know. Yep. And the next was all my clients, bar one, pretty much. Said, we're out.
Yeah.
So, the first thing a lot of people do in that situation is cut back on advertising, and really that should be the last thing you do, as you pretty much got a field to play with, especially for any online product and retail online. Like, you really want to be smashing that. So, it was a bit of a shame, but it's starting to pick up now. So yeah, hopefully we're through it and get back to a bit of normality.
Well, it's sort of getting that vibe, isn't it? With just gradually, bit by bit, as I said about the borders and stuff. Although I think those, I can understand why initially they were shut to begin with, but I think they could have really been open about at least a month ago. But just to see now that you can be able to travel wherever you want, at least in New South. And then you've also just little things they're talking about, the football, the rugby league and AFL allowed to having crowds of 25% of the capacity if your stadium's 40,000 or less. So just little things like that. And I was watching the rugby. And speaking about normality, New Zealand, I was watching the Super Rugby yesterday. I think it was between Auckland Blues and Wellington. And they had a full crowd. They had a full house. They were allowed crowds. Yeah. So it's sort of great to see, but then you're deep down, you're thinking, oh fuck, I wish that was us right now. And like in Northern Territory as well, like they're allowed crowds at their venues too.
Oh really? Northern Territory are?
Yeah, I think there might be some restrictions and stuff, but I've been watching because their soccer league has started back up. So
well, you know how strict they were. They were the most paranoid out of everyone.
Northern Territory, really?
Yeah, because all the Indigenous communities there.
Yeah, of course.
If they get it, So that was the thing with Cape York. They shut that down like day one of anything COVID related. That was the first place to get shut.
Yeah,
because I was actually planning a 4-wheel drive trip up there, so it was pretty disappointing.
Yeah. So one of the things that we'll discuss today, as well as obviously being a heavy metal guitarist as well. And as I I should iterate to the viewers here, Trev was actually the head cameraman when I was calling the Rugby League Gold Coast Grand Final up there up at Pizzey Park last year. But I also learnt then he was also a guitarist. I thought he looked familiar, a guitarist from Avenge the Dead, which is a metalcore band back in the 2000 era, based on the Gold Coast. And I'll be sharing some old stuff from there, no doubt. So on both fronts. So, but firstly, so to all the the video and photographer connoisseurs out there that are tuning in, I'm going to share off a bit of some of your work, man, and I just want to get a bit of a background on just some of your stuff. So first, so when was the last job that you did before this COVID thing, or have you taken any work since? Anything exciting that you've done, or anything in the pipeline?
I'll tell you what was funny. I did literally the week before this all happened, I got a pretty big client that had a pretty cool product, this laser cleaning product, and he was smashing it. He was going in it really hard, and then I felt so bad for him that this thing happened and everything got pulled. But then he hit me up about 2 weeks later and wanted me to come out and film his hand sanitizer business. And
okay.
He jumped ship straight away. So that was pretty cool to see, a good fucking hustler.
So it's
something I can relate
how
to.
good is it? Like that, it's like especially with the distilleries here. Like we've got Brookie's Gin distillery here, for example, and a couple of others, and it's just one of the things that's been like I discussed this in the first podcast with Michael Shaw is how a lot of these businesses try to take on new, open their mind to new things and not changing so much of their product, but like making hand sanitizer from ethanol and ingredients you'd use to make gin. I'll tell you what, it goes all right too. So there's the second free plug tonight from another alcoholic sponsor. So hopefully if someone's watching there, if you want to go, at least give me some subscribers, that'd be great.
I wouldn't sneeze at a gin.
Oh, it's not bad. As someone that doesn't drink a lot of gin, it's not actually too bad either. So,
the good stuff is really good. I totally agree with that.
Okay, so we should.
Oh, look out!
Yeah, that's the man himself. That's
shit.
So here's the man. So Trevor Osborne. Do you remember that photo man taking? You got that? That's a big rig that's over your right shoulder, man.
Mate, I rarely use that camera, but that was my first serious video camera I got when I started my media business. I think in 2004. I think I left NBN and went out on my own. And
NBN,
got
that's NBN Newcastle.
I started there, then Tamworth, and then transferred up to the Goldie.
Okay.
But I've been up on the Goldie on and off since '99. Yeah.
So more or less, and that camera. So is your shoulder still intact after holding that big rig? Because as someone who's just done a right shoulder, not back, just carrying a 5-6 kilo bag, where I've just done the nerves in my AC joints, and that was a 5-6 month fix. It's only just sort of come good. How is that after holding that? Do you remember? You'll probably be.
I used to hold the real big rigs that were like 20 to 40 kilos, depending on what you put on it. And my shoulders are fucked now. I'm not
surprised.
I think that's real. I got it really into bow hunting, but I should say archery more than bow hunting, because hunting is pretty fucking hard. Shoulders are starting to play up now, so I'm going to be working on that in the future.
How good is it that we could? How good is it when we used to be able to get into mosh pits? And when I say mosh pits, I'm not talking about just barging into each other. I'm talking like the hardcore dancing mosh pits where you could just throw limb from limb and you can get kicked in the head. Like I kicked in the jaw and I busted up, and you could walk away. You'd feel stiff and sore the next day, but you'd be ready to go and do again and have a big night after that. Now I can't even go and, as I said, carry a bag without having to lay on the osteo table.
Mate, I cramp up just playing guitar sitting down there. And I remember when I was 19, I think, maybe 18, Hatebreed came to Sydney, and it was their last show of like a world tour. They played every single song they've ever written like twice.
Yeah.
And I got fucking flying kicked in the head from someone jumping off a speaker. Second song. And my neck was snapped. I didn't know at the time, but I stayed the whole fucking set. Mosh, went to the hospital after, and had a fractured neck.
Wow!
And, is that how your neck troubles transpired? I reckon that didn't help. I broke my back 3 years later. That definitely didn't help. And then when I started in my band, headbanging consistently 3 nights a week, definitely didn't help.
Yeah.
Just a perfect storm of trying to have too much fun.
Did you fear that you? Well, I mean, the 3 injuries that I can iterate on that. You recall when Most Precious Blood came out here with Shot Point Blank? It was 2004. I think Parkway even played second in that in Byron. They played on a 4-band bill. I remember. I think it was Most Precious Blood. Shot Point Blank played second last. They'll send me main because they were the national headline or national support. Parkway played, I think, just Brisbane and Byron, and I forget who the first band. I think it was Chuck Norris. That's right, Chuck Norris played that first. Yeah, I remember that.
I remember them.
Winston McCall, his little straight edge band that I don't know was around for about 6 months. That was the lineup, and I remember. Oh man, I got. Like when Parkway played, I got kicked here. Just if you if you probably can't see it if you're hearing it on iTunes or nothing, but got kicked here, that flared up, and then when Shotboy played, I copped an elbow to this eye here, and it was trickling blood, and then I went into the car, and it was just a nice clean cut, and so I had to be sidelined. Normally I would have jumped in the pit for my precious blood, but I was like, no. I was closing up, but it looked like it was a pretty deep cut. So I went home, and Mum's looked me over, and she's like, "You're not going in any more of these mosh pits." This was 2004, mind you. No more mosh pits for you. She goes, "All right, well, you're pretty, your odds-on favourite for stitches, but we'll put this over your eye and just see how this all transpires." So I put the pad on, and then I've taken it off, and there's a whole layer of skin just formed over. I'm thinking, holy shit, this is fucking, healed up nicely. And then, so I said, "Mum, look, no stitches." Because that's good. It's good that Maxi Pads has a second use.
Oh, hopefully it wasn't that Maxi Pad second use.
But and then there was the time when Wish for Wings played at the youth centre. I think it was 06. It was the night before my 21st birthday, and I got cartwheel kicked, and I fought for all money.
Oh mate, I've got a lot of Wish for Wings memories. Fuck, those pits were some of the gnarliest ones. I remember the first time I seen them play in Brizzy, and I was like, this band's going to be fucking huge. And yeah, they got pretty big. But I think at the Shark Bar in Miami, it was the first time I've seen someone just come into the pit. Like, this is when everyone's fucking been a ninja, like,
yeah,
just throwing down hard. And then because you can have beer bottles in there, beer bottles smashed on the ground, and you pretty much know, like, Wish for Wings was straight edge then. So it was like a full people that, straight edge versus non-straight edge. And then that shit happened. Broken glass everywhere. Everyone throwing down so hard and falling over on broken glass.
Oh, no.
It was fucking psycho. And I just played, we just supported them. So
was that in 2007 by chance? I think, did Jack Napier play that show?
Yeah, it might have been, because that's when
I was at that one. I was there.
When I was in Duck Days, but I think we'll call Jersey Shore or another name before we turned into Duck Days. Yeah.
Yeah. So and I recall the last time, and this was the one time it put me in a retirement, and that was Soundwave 2015, and it was a wall of death. It was King Parrot. No, it started off. So this was on my 30th birthday. Now I had more sense, obviously, now as opposed to being 19, 20. So I knew my mosh pit days were, nearing an end. And so we lined up this way, we lined up that way, and then we went in, and then old mate just charged at me and just worn his forehead onto my jaw. Underneath my lip, and he just bounced off and just did a little tumble, and I've just stood up. So I thought, okay, I've won the wall of death. But until I realised what's happened and realised I've got blood coming out of my mouth, and I'm holding my jaw, and then my jaw was seizing up, and there was blood coming out everywhere. And I'm thinking, first band of the day on the second day, I was thinking, fuck, I'm going to be in surgery by tonight. I've just busted my jaw. And it wasn't
some hectic shit in that.
But it was only turned out there was only a scratch behind my gum. That was where the blood's coming from, and I couldn't speak for it properly for about a week. But and it's probably why I was saying then I felt my jaw just crack just before we went on air tonight. So it's probably the after effects of that.
Well, the death finale, man. I remember the worst one I saw was bleeding through. I probably who was it? I don't remember now. Somewhere in Brizzy. I was probably at a festival to get a big wall of death. Yeah, I remember just seeing this guy's leg snapped in half, full compound fracture, bone out. Got away lightly. Got a couple of knocks to the noggin, but came out all good.
You know what we need to do, man, and this is just giving me an idea just then, because we want to cover your to have time to cover your film work. So we're gonna have to get you back on. Yeah. We're gonna have to come up with a top 10 list of mosh pit injuries that we've both. So I'll do a top 10, and this could either happen to you or someone that you know, and we will go through each one of those, and that could be our next podcast.
Mate, sounds good. Load up that wall of death from Avenge the Dead as well.
Yeah,
that was definitely the craziest
funny you speak that. So I'll see if I can get that back up. I might even have it on the spot here. So
I think that's still relevant as fuck even for today. That wall of death was psycho.
Yeah, you can probably see me on the end of it there, but I'm just seeing if I can pick it up here. Hang on. The joys of doing live we're not live, but anyway, we'll see if I can be able to pick it back up here. If not, we'll get it on the next podcast. So anyway, back to so I'll just go through some of your work here, man, and you just give us a bit of an insight on it. So so on your I noticed that on the link that you had on your Instagram there, it was a link to some humpback whales that you did out at Tonga. So I might play through a bit of that.
Right.
Just give us a bit of an overview on that. So so I'll just bring this up here, and okay, so here we go. So this is your typing skills. You're your fast typer there, Trev?
Yeah, mate. Can't say I am. Bit of one finger man.
So I must iterate that normally I encourage people to listen to this.
It's coming up slowly.
But,
now it's almost over 100. Hey now.
Did you get that?
But yeah, we were out there for 7 days on this trip, and 5 days was in the water. You spend 10 hours on a boat, so you're feeling pretty waterlogged at the end of it. But mate, yeah, it was such an insane experience. Like, I think you wouldn't even need to like whales and appreciate it. once you're thrown into there, it's just something so different.
I mean,
yeah,
cute puppy. But it's more or less, yeah, I went out whale watching for the first time. I was it last year, and man, I fucking hate turbulence. Something shocking. But and we got to see some of the whales out there. This was about, I think, middle of August last year, just past the Spit Marine Parade. So but this would be pretty fucking epic. And I'm like, oh, how far did he get that into the water? About 50, 100 meters, you reckon?
Yeah, that was our guide. I don't know. He'd tell you he did, but
so
yeah,
what sort of equipment? So you would have had to have been traveling with a fair bit of equipment too, going over from there. You got drones and we were talking about cameras before and the size of them. So how much luggage would you be taking with you on a normal trip?
Man, bugger all, really. Like,
really?
Considering compared to the old days, because I'm thinking about when I started. Like, for me to do a trip like this, I'd need to quote 10 times more than what I would now. So my main camera that you're seeing right now on land, and that's a Sony A7 III. And so it folds up with, I bring out 3 lenses, everything's in a backpack with all my audio gear, and I can fit my drone in it, Mavic 2.
And were you drinking on those boys on the job too, mate?
Oh, mate, no. I hit pause and then joined him. So yeah, just I only used the GoPro for the underwater stuff. I had a housing for my Sony A7, and it shit itself just before the trip. I wasn't confident with it, so I just run a GoPro just to be safe. Like, last thing you want is to be mucking around with a housing that leaks.
Yeah, and here's another one too. You were speaking about GoPro as well. So, I mean, I find it that I never really purchased one myself because the most active thing I'll be doing is like drinking a beer and then walking to the fucking bottle shop and to the pub. That's my exercise. So the back of my Samsung S8 could just film all that shit. So
don't rule it out, mate. It would have been entertaining to see you in the mosh pit with the GoPro strapped to your chest or head.
Oh, mate. Man. Fucking, yeah, we're a bit... It is the thing, though. It's like... Just to get a camera back in 2004, because it was actually after that Most Precious Blood show when I actually started filming my own gigs. Well, when I say filming, I had my mate film while I moshed. So, so I got swags of footage, but it was on one of those little mini tapes, the tapes. And then we were discussing that just the other day, just over, we were talking on the weekend. And that was about $800. I mean, compared to say now, it's probably still worth $800 because it's more antique value than say anything else.
Yeah, actually, I think I've got one up here. Yeah, this is the very first video camera.
Holy shit! I think that's the same. Oh no, it's not the same one I had. Is that a Canon?
No, it's a Sony, and it's about $1,500.
Yeah, right. Is that
takes a tape.
Yeah, so that was what we had to use. So then, you can only get an hour at a time. So you had to kind of, you couldn't just film every show unless you had about 3 or 4, and plus the battery only lasted an hour on top of that, and then you have to then put it for a VHS, and then it's how much technology's evolved in the last decade when it comes to video, and it's just getting bigger and better, and so, and now, as we say, GoPro. So we're gonna play this next masterpiece of yours. You're actually featured in this one. I'll just bring this up here. Let's have a look. See. Okay, so again, I'll kill off that. So, do you remember how this one at all? Oh, here we go, Miami Goldie.
I'm not too sure what.
Here we go. Yep. No, there we go. Yep. Yeah, there we are.
Oh yeah, this is a little test with the camera when I got it. This
look at that barrel.
What was it, 7 or 8? Yeah.
Oh, and
do you know how many cameras I've lost and broken? I think I'm up to 10 now, 10 or 11.
Look at that head. I'll just pop it up. Is that the face when you realise you broke number 6 or 7 at that point?
Oh mate, do you know that a little bit of good luck though? I did right away to them the last time, and they sent me a new one. I couldn't fucking believe it. I had a couple trips that I didn't even use the camera, and it was the condensation going from air conditioning to real humid conditions in Indo that broke the camera. I was pretty pissed.
I was going to say, going through 10 cameras, you'd think you'd have a sponsorship deal to replace them, but even like in contents insurance wouldn't cover that many.
Probably right, huh? Yeah,
so,
I don't know. I'm definitely not going to get another one after this one.
But look at, oh shit, is that when you're like full like on the barrel then, or? Yeah,
just body surfing into them, trying to get cool shots with it. Fuck, I'm going to buy more, mate. Like, you can't stop. The things that I do.
So I've just sold you your own product, mate.
No, I know. Well, I mean, I surf, snowboard, mountain bike ride, the bow hunting. It just comes in so handy to have these little cameras.
And I kept it a little bit longer. So, another one we want to share here too. It's a travel to Taiwan. So before I bring this up, is there any?
Oh yeah, sweet.
I mean, I'm just looking out here, and you've just got this fucking dirty look on your face. Like you've just the look that I'm looking at here now looks like you've had a 20-leg multi and about 5 legs. You're 19 and a half in, and then the video referee takes it in the 90th minute, like it happened to me a couple of weeks ago. That's the kind of look I'm seeing right here. So, but then again, it's paused. So I've got to bring this up before we hit play. So share us a bit about it, man.
So I went to Taiwan. That was a couple of years ago now.
There we go.
Mrs. was born in Taiwan and just went over there to do, this trip with her. Just toured around the whole country. It was pretty cool.
So there it is. That's it. That could be to any gambling anonymous or TAB ads if they want to gamble responsibly. Right there, gamble responsibly. Otherwise, you'll get a place. All right, enough fucking around. Let's so look at it. Come see Tom. Nah, gamble responsibly, folks.
Come see my multi through my eyes.
Okay, so is this the beginning of the trip here?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, you got to start off with the cliche airport shit. Straight to the night markets. Fill your gut up.
Yeah,
bloody fantastic.
That looks like some good eating.
Those dumplings are what they're famous for. They just burst in your mouth. So
I had dumplings for the first time in my life this past Thursday. It was me and Stephanie went for a Japanese feed for her birthday, and we had geyser.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Geyser.
Fuck, that was nice.
They're so good.
Yeah. So.
They're all different. Like Japanese ones to Chinese to Taiwanese.
Yeah, so balls, they're squirrels. Did you do your best Homer Simpson routine like I did in Canada and start like kiss my Kirby, but goodbye?
I did my best.
Yeah, I did that in Canada and Montreal after about a dozen Budweisers from the night before. Okay, so when was this taken? Was this taken about last couple of year or two or so? Or?
Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago now. I have to see the date when I uploaded it now, but yeah, everything's kind of blurring into one. I think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah. So did you have the same sort of setup with your cameras there as the Tonga trip?
Yeah, I had exact same setup, though I didn't have the drone.
The drone, yeah. Okay, I want to share some of those drone like your steals through your Insta because
Mm,
I think that's something like that's quite impressive too. So it doesn't.
got you.
Okay, so I'll just move on to that now, but it's more or less it's quite impressive that like what amazed me more so is the fact that when you just say that you don't take a lot of gear with you to do this kind of stuff. It's I just thought, well, fuck, you'd be coming in, you'd be having to sign away like 80 kilos of luggage when you go through customs. But it's only just
Thankfully not. Yeah, yeah, just a backpack. Usually, might need two. Yeah, the real dilemma is if you have to bring like proper lighting gear. So it depends what the shoot is. Obviously, if I've got to bring lights and a proper water house, you know, start adding up. But yeah, in the old days, it was the size of the camera changed everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's and I was like, we can iterate all night about how much it's all changed. Like the fucking, the tape cameras are like built like a brick, and trying to lift that. Like when I did have to film shows, when I can't just jump in the mosh pit, I was lifting that, and I could barely lift my right fucking arm. But then again, my right arm's been jacked since I was a kid. So I picked up one here, which is pretty cool, and you could probably give us some insight about how you managed to light up the night sky, so to speak.
Oh yeah, cool.
So you probably know which one I'm going to pick out. So just have a geezer at this, and I thought this was kind of fucking impressive.
Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, that was in Tonga as well.
So how did you make that all like bring out all the stars and
Mate,
stuff? It's like trying to
no Photoshop involved. It's actually
really
pretty easy. You just got to have a long exposure. So drop your shutter down to. There's a way to work it out. That the best way to do it is just to do a couple of trial and errors. So this one was probably about 15 seconds, 15 to 20 seconds is usually what I do with the focal length that I shoot with. So basically, it just goes on your focal length of your camera to how long you should expose for, and then maybe just touch up a little bit in Lightroom, and yeah, slap it on the ground, mate. And you're golden.
Because I remember we had like I think it was about a month or so ago, we had one of those full moons, like it looked like the sun was in the sky, orangey full moon. And I remember Stephanie getting her little her phone camera, like iPhone 11 or whatever it is she has, and went to take it. It was just a big blur of orange, and it was just a whole lot of nothing. But then you'd think that was this done off a phone or just a proper camera?
No, that was done off a proper camera. So I used a really a lower f2 lens.
Okay.
So it's a wide angle. It lets in a lot of light. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I left that 15 seconds. And then obviously have it on a tripod. So any sort of movement will ruin the shot.
And then there's this one here. Let me get this one up here. So was that on that trip as well from Tonga?
Yeah, exactly.
Underwater shot?
That's actually me. That's actually me
Is
with
that
the GoPro. Yeah.
So
it's pretty insane. Hey, like look at the size of them.
That looks like it's
awesome, man.
So you can just see up the top there. It looks like it's the crest of the water, but is that right underneath the water? Like, is that kind of split together? Like you've just got the outside of the water and then split that and then had that, or is that just all in one shot?
That's just all in one shot. So yeah, that bloke Daniel Parsons, he store freedivingcentral.com is him, and he takes professional photos too for his business.
Yeah.
So yeah, he got a couple of me, got a couple of him. Scratch my back, scratch his back.
Yeah, so that's the best way to do business these days. Is just do a bit of back scratching.
Because you have to get a photo of yourself for one of these things. Like go all that way. Jeez,
well, yeah, you got to get yourself doing the business, doing the work. Just showing. So how is that taking photos when you're like some like 10,000 feet underground? Because you couldn't. To think I would even just go scuba diving, I'd just be shitting myself, let alone taking fucking gross shots.
I'm not a free diving expert. I did do my level 1s in it. And then I used to spearfish when I was younger, and I realised when I did the course how little I knew and how close to shallow water blackout I probably got. But there's enough YouTube videos to learn how to do it safely, and you can hold your breath 10 times longer than what you think you can. It's all about being relaxed, breathing up, and following the right steps, mate. And you'll go under for a couple of minutes and bust out 20 meters under. No worries.
I'd probably just be like shitting myself. I'd forget one of the steps, and I'd come up and I'd be just like, fuck, and then I'd be, and then the pressure would just make my head explode. So found something a bit more closer to home and an actual drone shot, which I was chasing up. So this is just a beach shot out at Cabba. So is that you there? Like, want to use on the little paddling out there, or?
No. Oh, mate, I was going to put active tracking on, but I haven't had success with that. So, no, I'm just taking pictures of everyone else. And I kind of like those angles. It's like a bit of symmetry going on.
That's so good. I'm just wondering if I know one of the boys out there that's about to mash into that fucking wave around the corner here. So, and then there's this one here. So whereabouts was that one taken? That's another one from Tonga.
Yeah, back in Tonga.
Yeah. So aren't you worried, like, we're with these drones? I mean, I'm probably not the most drone expert and whatnot, but how would you find it? Like, do you get like warning when you've got one of those drones and it's like you're about to run out of juice? Like, do you get a 5-minute warning, or do you know when it just goes crash and bang?
It won't do that. So I've got the Mavic 2 Pro. I'm not sure about the other ones, but I'm pretty sure any new DJI drone will have this in. So you can pick when your warning starts. I've got mine set at 30%.
Oh, that's cool.
Battery.
That's cool.
So it will return to home, and you can override it. And I did override it just to see what happens.
Yeah.
And it will just slowly, like, none of your controls will work, and it will just slowly land itself. And this happened to me once when I was too in the moment filming. I hadn't had it long, and I was filming around some buildings around surface, and I was probably like 5 k's away from it. And then it just said, landing. And I was like, are you kidding me? So I've managed to like steer it somehow to the sand at the beach, so it wouldn't land like on a highway or on a high rise. And but the camera stayed on, so I was able to pinpoint exactly with the GPS where it was. And then once it started off, I had a good idea for it. Yeah, that's been my closest call.
Yeah, man, that's pretty fucking impressive. Just like with your gear, but I mean, it's not every day you meet someone who knows how to use a camera, use a GoPro, and also knows how to shred on guitar. Here's another one. So this is kind of both the GoPro and you doing your other thing, shredding, as we made mention. You're playing guitar and for Avenge the Dead and stuff. I'm gonna hit you in a few questions just on this video alone.
I think I know what you're
just
playing.
play. It's an 8-minute video, but we'll condense it down. So we'll just play this one here. I'll allow the audio because it's you playing. So
this one, okay. I love this one. Nice.
What is going on, guys? I'm Trevor Osborne, guitarist. I'm selling the rig.
Yeah, this was a sales pitch from my aunt.
it's like, come on. Can you still say it? Hang on.
I'm not getting it, but
hang on. Exactly. Sorry, I think I've just lost it there. There we go. We're back.
Here it goes.
You're going to have to answer my question.
I bought this in 2006, and it's been going strong since. These valves are actually from Kill Switch Engages. Adam G installed these when they were recording the album Telling You to Smile.
that's not your gambling face.
No, it's not the gambling face. It's the used car salesman face.
Mate, it's fucking frothing. Fuck. Fuck. Mate, that's got some fucking kick to it.
Man, that amp is so sick. I can't sell it. I'm taking it off the market.
Yeah. I was gonna say it's like that's unsellable now considering so that's basically unsellable now knowing where Parkway Drive stand in the world at the moment.
Pretty much up. Yeah.
So
yeah, like there's no real proof with it, I guess. But
oh well, I can call. I got Jeff Ling's number there. I can give him a call and just verify it that way if we need to. So if anyone's watching,
I reckon Jeff will actually probably want it back. To be honest.
Yeah, if he's watching this, he's probably thinking, "Oh fuck, but that sounded pretty decent." But yeah, that's or I could say is it what's that show? Porn stars in the US. I'm thinking, what's his name? Well, what's the main dude's name again? I know it's on the tip of my tongue.
Oh.
It's like I've been in the porn industry 10 years.
Oh, not the granddad, but Chuck.
No.
Chuck's the. I can't think of it, but that is a good show.
Yeah. Oh, but man, it's I'll have to find out who he is. But if I should know this, I fucking watch it all the time. But so yeah, but how did you manage to get your hands on that? Did you get it in 2006, or did you wait a while and then get it?
No, I got it. I got it when I was in a band called Counterpunch, and they ended up becoming Third Strike.
Oh, okay.
That would have been
07. All right, 708.
Well before that. That would have been like 03 or something before. It was literally whenever he finished recording Killing with a Smile, he came back, and that's when they went to Nest Boogies. So
yeah, and then they made Horizons not long after that, and but man, you got yourself some pretty decent fucking hardware there, and obviously you wouldn't be using that to more or less. You wouldn't be using that for gigs because you're saying before, or you said to me numerous times that you're starting back playing again. Do you have anything in the pipeline?
Yeah, yeah, kind of. It's just been the drummer and myself jamming. It's just so hard to find people really. So I don't know. We're just going to be a duo. But if anyone's keen and lives around the Gold Coast and in the metalcore, hit us up because we've got ambitions to get back in. Sure.
Yeah. So what about Nate Rose from In Ashes? Would you have a sort of reunion with him?
Mate, I would like to. I see him around every now and then. I know he's still going with his Ashes. So yeah. He's tried to bring back Avenge a few times, but
he's got his own little. But I think he's got his own other little side project now. He's just popped a couple of twins not long ago. So more or less, he might have another project to go. He's got the family project, and then try and bring up another one. I think he had a band. They haven't played live, but did you ever hear that he was going to try and start a side band called Stallone?
No.
Yeah, sort of like First Blood. Just sort of like First Blood, both in the sense of like the band First Blood, and it's sort of got a bit of a Hatebreed groove to it, and it never fucking resurfaced. I'll have to get him on here and have a chat about that because I was getting pretty fucking keen when I thought, man, this is fucking raw. But
that's different, hey? Yeah, okay. I didn't hear. Look, because the singer of my last band, Dark Days, he was into straight up hardcore, and then he was right into metal, and I'm into both. Like guitarist, I was play whatever, but I love metalcore, breakdowns and lead. Being a guitarist, that's what you want to do. And then he moved to Japan, and that was it for the band. We couldn't get another singer half decent, and he got really fucking good at the end of us playing, and our band was getting tight, man. And that's the thing with bands, like you'll make it if you just never break up, and it's kind of a shame. But he's moved to Melbourne now, and he's in the straight up hardcore. And
it's sort of like, and I remember this even so much as 10 years ago, back in the Byron hardcore scene. You're a bit, you're thin to try and find anybody when you see like a lot of the bands that were playing, the local bands, they were not just playing double duty, but they were playing in 3 or 4. I think there was one guy playing 5 different bands, and it's not Todd Hanson.
That's crazy.
Parrot. Man, like he's fucking like I do remember like back in the day when he was playing in like 12 bands. He actually had his own festival named after him. So he had like 12 different bands. He playing from These Wounds, King Parrot. Oh, I don't think he was in King Parrot then, but he was playing in Headcase, what is it, FUC, which is called Forest Under Constructions. They just did a live stream in ISO about a month ago. And the RAF, he was playing in the RAF then as well. And
Was he? Okay.
yeah. So we did like two Todd Fests. I'll admit I didn't quite get to either one of those, which is a shame. I'd like to have. Being the show in Brisbane, being in Brisbane, it's a bit not as always easy to get from Byron Bay as it used to. Well, I think back in that time.
Mate, I was whinging about Gold Coast, like the trains would stop. I've had heaps of times where I had to sleep in the train station up there.
Oh, mate.
I just couldn't get back.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I can only ever go to shows up in Brisbane on a Friday or Saturday because the last train's at 12:30. But so it's the night, and I've fucking given up driving around. I haven't driven into Brisbane in a car since 2011, 12, 13, maybe 14 at very latest. And it's just I refuse to drive around Brisbane now. But going back into what I was saying about the whole Byron scene is that you had guys that were playing in 4 or 5 different bands, and they were already stretched thin. And so it's always hard to find that musician. And that's sort of what was the death knell, at least in the Byron Bay hardcore scene, is to when those people, they all then moved on. Some had kids, some moved away, and then it just grew out, man. It just, like it's just people wanted to go and listen to other stuff. And Parkway was touring overseas, and In Heart's Wake then got big. But I'd like to see a resurgence. But I mean, at the moment, just any kind of live gig of any sort would be good right now, considering where we are in the world.
Yeah, I think the most I ever played in was 3, but I did 2 for a while, and even 2 was too many. Then I did my own acoustic shit on the side. So but when you're young, I don't know, you can do that. There's no way I could do that now. Just one band's enough. Go all in.
And as I said, as you said, you pull a muscle just sitting down jamming, let alone standing up.
I think it's because I don't know, going through a bit of issues with my neck and stuff at the moment. But I'm sure once I'll get back into it. But going super hard on stage anymore. Yeah, so those days are gone, mate. My stage presence won't be the same.
I know. It's like, as I said, it's like just standing up the back at a gig while other people are walking. You know what fucking shits me at gigs is like when they even like just condense crowds. I mean, this happened when we went to the Atreyu gig up at the zoo, and but it's like I got to the point where I couldn't like. If I know it's going to be busy, it's like even Pennywise. It's just I'm getting a little bit claustrophobic because there's people that come from behind, they just fucking barge you over and just like, bullet for my Valentine, boosh, knock you over, knock your drink out of your fucking hand. And I'm just like, it's just, that's how, when you're getting old too. And it's like, it got to the point where, as I was having trouble like you have, a busted, like I had my hip out, I had my neck out in Melbourne. And I went to Melbourne. Have you heard familiar with a band called Camelot? They're from the States.
Yeah, I can't think of their music, but I know I've listened
power metal.
to them.
It's like a power metal band, and I've wanted to fucking see them forever. I missed them on their last tour in 2014. This was 2018, and I was in Adelaide that weekend, and I couldn't make the Brisbane show, but they were playing Melbourne on the Tuesday, so I hooked it from Adelaide to Melbourne, and I was going through that much grief with my body, and I got to, and it was at the, you're familiar with the Hi-Fi bar in Melbourne? Yeah. So so basically there's no lobby. So you walk down, you're pretty much straight in the venue, and it can get pretty, crowded if it's full. And in this case it was. There wasn't anything to lean on. Like I couldn't, as I said, this was out, my hip was out and my neck was out, and I was just not enjoying myself, man. And I just was getting anxious, and like the claustrophobic on top of that kicked in. So it was an hour and a half set. I lasted 20 minutes and I'd left. And as I said, I made a special trip to Melbourne to go to this and fucking waited all this time. And they're not a band that comes every 2 years. And this was like 5 years between this tour cycle. And I just wanted to bawl my eyes out because I was just, fuck, my my body's not right. So forget mosh pits. I can't even fucking stand. So, and then
definitely depends on the mosh pit though, huh? Because I moshed at that last Pennywise show, and
oh mate, you were loose.
Yeah,
you were fucking loose.
I had a few drinks, but it was all right. But that was insane. What was it? Strung out and no use and Pennywise. Like, love my old school punk like that. So I went hard in there. But the difference from being in a mosh pit like that to one, say, like Bleeding Through or just a hectic metal mosh pit is just.
We had,
I felt a lot more safe.
well, we have to go into that a bit more, down the track. We'll just do a whole show just on mosh pits and just make that the subject. And we'll have so between now and next time we do another podcast, we'll have to think of we'll think of five, 6, 7 each, and then we can just talk about, and like we'll probably have to have one of those disclosures at the start. This is for adults only, blah blah blah, because there's some gruesome shit, and some of the ones I've seen too.
Well, on a closing note with it, I remember the first time Bleeding Through came out, I was just fucking obsessed with it, man. Like, it was such different metal. It was so brutal, and I followed them. I went to every show, like Brisbane, Byron, Newey, and Sydney, and was like even going to go to Melbourne. I was like, nah, that's all right. I just backed them up night after night, did the drive down there, put my boards in the car, surfed. Yeah, we'll go more into depth about that one later. But yeah, that was insane.
When Bleeding Through came to Byron, man, that was like my Christmases and birthdays all mixed into one. Like, just being from Byron, and like this is a band I listened to. Here's the thing: I first listened to that band, and Michael Shaw, he can take credit for this one. He got me into them in the Byron Bay High School playground. At lunch one day, and like, because he got me in the Kill Switch and stuff, and then I listened to it and I'm thinking it's like Cradle of Filth mixed with all these fucking these breakdowns and shit. So it makes me wonder that I first heard of them when I graduated 2003, and 2 years later that same band was playing in that fucking auditorium.
That is insane.
How's that for a story? And then having like Unearth come play at fucking that same auditorium, and Gene Hoglan, who's no slouch on the drums, he's a well-renowned drummer, and he's fucking playing drums where I had my exams. That's just insane. And Parkway Drive playing all these swagger gigs and whatnot. So
then you had Azalea Dying come down and play through that time. Like,
Azalea Dying, Walls of Jericho, A Day to Remember have come. What a time to be alive in Byron Bay. And
rest in peace, Byron, because feel that's gone, huh?
Yeah. As I said, I even said in the last podcast with Nathan Cross, like it was 5 years since Parkway last played in Byron in general. So, but anyways, so just to close it off, speaking about mosh pits, I've dug this one up for you, man. I've got it on the spot here, and we can get a bit of dialogue from your end when I bring this up. Okay, so get ready for this. And so that, mind you, that's you there in the black hat.
Oh, shit, yeah, well that's done. You found it.
I found it. It was meant to be, man. Hang on.
There we go.
So there's you just there ripping away, and there's a big pile up, and I could probably do my best footy commentary on this too. So
you could, eh?
And there they are throwing down here at Southport Stadium here in Avenge the Dead's final show. It's about as final as Johnny Farnham, and about as final as Conor McGregor's retirement. And as they throw down, and then there's you see Bergsy there. He's up high, but not as high as what South Sydney would be in the top four. He wishes that South were high at that point. And there it is. And there's who's that? You bouncing there with the fucking black hat there. Okay, so also I thought I had it on that bit there. So let me just, obviously it's towards the end, so you can just that was actually a pretty crazy show, man, because it got a bit out of hand towards the end, a bit of Byron / Gold Coast rivalry there, so to speak. Let me just get it back to the spot. I'll just bring full frame. So, so what do you remember about that show, man? Like getting up on that stage thinking it was, well, I think that was your last time at least with Avenge the Dead.
Yeah, I didn't play with them again after that. I was spewing, man. Like, I was starting to get a big following, and it was really fun to be in that band. So I was kind of spewing it on one stage, but then kind of stoked to have a show that big.
And so, do you recall why the breakup occurred? Like, because that's one thing I never really got a grip on.
To be honest, not really.
Just had enough.
I think it was between the other guitarist and Bergie, just wanting to do different styles maybe. Bergie maybe wanting to just focus on In Ashes. I don't really know. You'll have to ask him.
I think In Ashes weren't around at that point, or were they there and they kind of pulled back? And then I think you might be right. He might be. I think they sort of. I think they came back. I could be wrong. It was probably. No, it wasn't known as In Ashes. He had Satellite Years, and they were just playing In Ashes songs, and then went back into In Ashes. So,
right.
But here we go. I found the bit here. So here we go. We'll hit it with the dialogue, man, and you can probably see me there on the far right side. There we go. And the camera.
Oh, no way. That's
here
you,
we go.
eh?
Boom, and there's the wall of death, and they're just dropping like flies. There's me. They're pushing around. Even 2006, man, you would have seen me just get the fuck out of the way. Get it. That's insane. That's fucking insane. Oh man, how many fines?
Wall of death, that one.
How many COVID fines would they have been dishing out for all that at the moment? Man, that's so good. It's so good to be going down memory lane.
I don't know why I've got a fuck neck. But yeah, back to that band, man. Like, to be honest, I came in on that band after they'd been together probably like 1 or 2 years, so I never really felt like it was my band. But I wrote half the songs, but I still never felt it was my band.
Yeah.
So after then I started. Had a break for a while, then found the guys, and once I started Dark Days, I absolutely fucking loved that band, and it's a shame that we didn't get a bigger following because that band was significantly better than Avenge, in my opinion, for the style that I wanted to do, and the talent of the other musicians as well. So it kind of sucks, and the only reason that band broke up again, the singer went overseas, and everyone's got to grow up at some point.
I know, man.
It's fucking tough, man. It's tough to imagine how many sick bands would be out there if they just stay together.
Oh man, it's just, and that's sort of what it is. Like with the bands that you look at them all, and it's like it sort of comes down to like camaraderie and how well you know that each other. And there's no. It's like you look at Parkway Drive and In Heart's Wake, for example. There's no surprises why they're so popular. It's because it begins with the roots. It's because those boys have known each other forever. With probably the exception with Jeff, you probably would have seen it in that latest documentary. They found the reason they found him was because he was shredding some Metallica or something, and Ben was saying, who the fuck is this guy?
I know, yeah. And Luke couldn't even play notes. That was pretty funny. And to be honest, I played in Heart Wake's first show. So
that was the
first band on. That was at the youth centre.
Okay, yeah, because I think that was their second show when they played.
Oh, was it?
That was on that very set. They were playing with that and Cutting It Short. They were the worst band I've ever Cutting It
seen
Short,
play for their first show.
Fucking terrible.
And for them to get where they are is purely because they're rad friends and they stick together and they just never gave up.
Well, it's like Cutting It Short. I mean, the fact that on their second show they opened for Terror, like if that's not a slap in the face of insult, I don't know what is. I think that was the only one of the only downlights of my time in the hardcore metal scene. It's just, I mean, it was just a rip on all like the bands that were decent. And but then again, they're all out there. So, but I mean, probably the best thing is they those guys were then evolved into In Heart's Wake. So they just made without going too deep into it, they made the necessary changes that they needed to make, and here we are. So that's basically where we are at it. So. All right, brother. So, man, it was great to go down a trip of memory lane and seeing what you do for a cross these days. So, if they need your services with your GoPro and need to get some gambling or some not gambling tips to get off the gambling, where can they find you, man?
Yeah, Trevor at trevorosborne.com is my email, and that website is trevorosborne.com. get me.
That's the way, brother. So, but we'll have to reconvene probably in the coming weeks or so, redo this, and we'll talk about the dangers of mosh pits, and maybe trying to get
Touch on that.
get some maybe bring the pit back. Let's bring the pit back when we're allowed to go back to shows again. That'd be great.
Oh mate, yeah, pit for old men. That's what we need.
pit mosh pits for anyone that's over 35. We'll be instructors.
Sweet as, man. Thanks for having us.
Anytime, brother. Can't wait to do this again. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I hope you are. If you're listening to this in the audio format, replay this back on the YouTube, just so you can see the master at work here with some of the snaps and the stills and the video shots that he had, just to really get the iterate. And plus, of course, the mosh pits, the human car crashing. You got to see that for what it's worth. So if you're listening to this in the audio format, and of course it's on anchor.fm/Duaneo, and just follow all the links there for all the platforms. Always a pleasure, Trev. Can't wait to do this again, and then we can iterate over some other kind of memories which could actually hurt. We have the MA rating for a reason.
Right on, man. Chat to you soon. All
right. So that's it for episode 4 of the Duane-o Podcast. We're probably going to have the next one probably in the next 7 days or so, being from Monday. So it's today, Monday the 15th. So sometime probably next week. And we'll be back here talking shit as always here in the bunker here in Byron Bay. This is Duane-o signing out.